Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I'm Hasham. So we have completed the problems on computing the income from house property. From the income tax point of view, all the heads of income are income from salary, income from house property, profits and gains of business and profession, capital gain and income from other sources. So totally 5 heads of income, out of which we have completed so far income from salary and income from house property. Now in this video I am going to explain you about the theory of computing the profits and gains of business or profession. So the coming problems are based on the provisions which I am going to discuss. So these provisions are very important. If you skip the theory, then every problem will be a peculiar problem to you. It will be difficult to understand. So this is the foundation. These are the basics you must remember for solving the problem. Income Tax Act has given the procedure regarding how to compute the income from salary, how to compute the income from house property. Similarly, there is a procedure of computing the income of a business or profession. So in this video, I am going to explain you what are the provisions under the Income Tax Act 1961 regarding the computation of income from business. So before going further, take the screenshot of the points which I have written on the board, then I'll explain all the points in detail. Now, profits and gains of business and profession, PGBP. According to section 2, subsection 13, the term business includes trade, commerce or manufacture, or any adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce or manufacture. A business is a wide term which includes any activity conducted in order to earn an income. That activity may be trading activity, that means buying and selling. Commerce, which includes trade as well as aids to trade. All the activities which help the trade, that will come under commerce. Example, finance, then transport, warehousing, advertisement, marketing, all these will come under commerce. So commerce is also business. So trade, commerce or manufacture to produce the goods, that is also business. Now in simple words, we can say any activity which is done in order to earn an income, that is called business. The term business includes profession or occupation. So these are the points regarding business. Now mercantile system of accounting. In order to compute the income, we need accounting. And in accounting, there are 2 systems of accounting called mercantile system and cash system. Income Tax Act says you can follow any system, but whatever system you follow, consistently you have to follow the system. Mercantile system of accounting is that system of accounting in which all the expenditure of the current year, whether paid or not, must be taken. Similarly, all incomes of the current year, whether received or not, should be taken. That's why all outstanding expenses will be added. If any income is accrued, that will also be added. If expenditure is paid in advance, that should be deducted because not related to current year. So if outstanding and prepaid are adjusted, then it is called mercantile system. The second system of accounting is the cash system, where we simply take into account cash receipt and cash payment. We will not adjust the outstanding or prepaid. Simply, whatever cash is received, that only will take. Whatever cash paid, that only will take. That is called cash system. But majority of businesses and professions, they will follow mercantile system. Only few business houses, they will follow the cash system. But Income Tax Act says your wish, you can follow any of the method, mercantile or cash system. When nothing is mentioned in the problem, we have to assume that the business follow mercantile system because that is the better system of accounting. Now, special note, this is very important. You have to remember because these points will come while doing the problem. So if the books of accounts are maintained on mercantile basis, even if the business follows mercantile system of accounting, few expenses are there which are specified by Income Tax Act and said that these expenses are allowed only on payment basis. If the expenses are paid, if the amount is paid, then only deduction will be allowed. If it is not paid, deduction will not be allowed. Few expenses are there. Whereas other expenses, whether paid or not, it will be allowed as deduction. Rent paid or rent outstanding, fully allowed. Salary paid, salary outstanding, fully allowed. But few exceptions are there. Income Tax Act has given 5 exceptions. In these cases, even if you follow mercantile system of accounting, you will get the deduction only on payment basis. So what are the items? First one, any amount payable to the government or local authority by way of tax. If sales tax or import duty or export duty or excise duty, any taxes are due to the government or any taxes due to the local bodies like municipalities, if the taxes are paid, then only deduction will be allowed. If the taxes are due but not paid, not allowed as deduction. First case. Second, employer's contribution to provident fund or welfare fund. In many organizations, the employer will maintain provident fund or welfare fund. Employer will contribute some amount to provident fund of the employees. Already we have discussed about provident fund in the income from salary. Now briefly I am saying employer's contribution to provident fund or welfare fund, it will be allowed as deduction only on payment basis. If it is due, not allowed. These points will come while doing the problem, so you remember. Bonus or commission to employees. When the employer pays bonus or commission, if it is paid, then only it will be allowed. If it is due but not paid, not allowed. Similarly, interest payable on the loan taken for public institutions like banks. If a business has taken a loan from banks or any public financial institutions, interest paid on the loan will be allowed as deduction only on payment basis. If interest is due but not paid, not allowed as deduction if the loan is taken from public financial institution. Next one, cess or fees payable under any law. In many laws, we have to pay the cess, like water cess, sewerage cess, etc. If the cess is paid, then only it will be allowed as deduction. If it is due but not paid, not allowed. So these are the 5 cases where payment is deduction will be allowed only on payment basis. The above mentioned items will be allowed as deduction for the year in which the payment is made. Whenever payment is made, in that year only deduction will be allowed. That's all. Now, points to be remembered while computing income from business or profession. Very, very important. These are the points you have to keep in mind while doing the problems. So, what are the important points? First one, business is carried on by the SSC. First of all, an individual has to pay the tax on the income earned by his business. Whether the business is run by the employee or with the help of some employees, by the SSC or with the help of some employees. But business should be carried on by the SSC. If you are carrying on the business, you are liable to pay tax on the business income. Secondly, business or profession should be carried on during the previous year. Second condition says, a business income is taxable only if the business is carried on during the previous year. Our current previous year is 2021-22 and assessment year is 22-23. Legality of the object is not to be considered. One of the important provision given by Income Tax Act. Income Tax Act is not bothered whether SSC is earning a legal income or illegal income. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter does not mean that even illegal activity can be done. No. There are separate laws which prosecute a person if you do illegal business. But from income tax point of view, Income Tax Act says whatever income you earn, we will put to tax. For example, if a person is smuggling, smuggling is prohibited. So if a person is doing smuggling, then Income Tax Act will ask how much income you have earned in smuggling. We will put the tax on your smuggling income also. Whereas other law, will prosecute that person. Why? You are doing a criminal act, illegal act. But Income Tax Act is not bothered whether you are earning legal income, illegal income, both incomes are taxable. Next one, aggregation of business income. Income Tax Act will not charge tax on separate businesses. A person may have different businesses. One cloth business, one fertilizer business, one cement business, one electronic business. So a single person is having different types of businesses. So income tax will not be charged separately on every business, but we aggregate. The income earned under all businesses will be totaled. On the total income, tax will be applied on the aggregate of all business incomes. Next one, recovery of sum already allowed as deduction. Sometimes a business was allowed as deduction regarding certain loss. Example, I'm having a business. I sold goods to Mr. X on credit, and the amount due from Mr. X is 50,000. But after 2-3 years, we are unable to recover the amount from Mr. X. He is absconding or he died. We are unable to recover the amount. We have not received the amount. So we write it down as bad debts, irrecoverable debts. We have removed the name of Mr. X. The amount due 50,000 we have written off as bad debts. But later on, after writing the amount as bad debts, later on, after a period of time, Mr. X has given us the amount of 50,000. Now, Income Tax Act says this amount was already allowed as deduction earlier. Now you have recovered. It is fully taxable now. It is fully taxable. Next, notional profit are not to be considered. Imaginary profit. Income tax will be charged only on real profit, not on imaginary profit. Example, the head office may send the goods to the branch office at a notional profit. That means at invoice price. The goods are sent by head office to branch office at an invoice price, including the profit. But that profit is a notional profit. The profit will get only by selling the goods to the customer. Here we have not sold the goods. We have simply transferred the goods from head office to branch office. Notional profit, not taxable. Next one, speculation business. If an assessee is having speculation business and non-speculation business, we separately compute the income of speculation and income of non-speculation. Now we club it. A person will have speculation income of 1 lakh, non-speculation business income 2 lakh. So we add up 1 lakh speculation income, 2 lakh non-speculation income, total income 3 lakh. On 3 lakh rupees, tax will be applied. But if a person is having loss in speculation business, that loss in speculation business cannot be set off against the profit of non-speculation business. The vice versa is possible. If a person is having loss in non-speculation business, that loss can be set off from profit of speculation business. But speculation loss cannot be set off from non-speculation income. Next one is anticipated profits or expected profits in future are not to be considered, not taxable. So these are the special points you have to remember while computing income from business. Now, deductions in computing the business income. See here. How to find out the income or profit? Deduct all the expenditure incurred from the revenue earned. In a business, the business will earn the revenue. From the revenue, deductions are made for all the expenditure. Example, you are having a business. In 1 month, the sales revenue are 20 lakh. Do you think that sales revenue 20 lakh rupees is the profit? No. From 20 lakh rupees sales revenue, we have to deduct the expenditure, the cost of purchases, the rent paid, the salary paid, the electricity bill paid. So many expenditure are there. Out of 20 lakh rupees revenue, 18 lakh rupees are the expenditure. So deduct 18 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees remaining is the profit or income. In this way, from the revenue, we have to deduct the expenditure. Now, Income Tax Act has given some rules, some principles for giving deduction to the expenditure. Otherwise, what will happen? Every assessee will charge a number of expenditure, exaggerate the expenditure so that the profit will come down, so that the tax liability will come down. So, Income Tax Act has given some principles, rules, which are the deductions allowed and which are the deductions not allowed. So now, deductions in computing the business income. While computing the income from business or profession, the general principle is, Income Tax Act has given a general rule, general principle, that any expenditure incurred in order to earn the income will be allowed as deduction. If you want to earn the income, you have to spend some expenditure. So any expenditure incurred in order to earn the income, that will be allowed as deduction. That is a general principle. Now, the following are some of the principles to be observed to give an expenditure as deduction. Again, Income Tax Act has given some principles, some rules. These rules must be followed while giving the deductions. While giving the deductions to compute the income. So what are the rules? First, the expenditure must be a revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure means a recurring expenditure. Any expenditure whose benefit will expire within a period of 1 year are called revenue expenditure. Example, salary paid, rent paid, telephone bill paid, electricity bill paid. These are the examples of revenue expenditure recurring. So only revenue expenditure will be allowed as deduction. Capital expenditure not allowed. Capital expenditure is that expenditure whose benefit will accrue for a long period of time. Expenditure is incurred only once, but the benefit will accrue for a long period of time. Example, machine purchased, furniture purchased, motor vehicle purchased. It's a capital expenditure. Capital expenditure will not be deducted. Revenue expenditure will be allowed as deduction. Secondly, the expenditure is incurred to run the business or to carry on the business activity or in the interest of the business. Second rule, the Income Tax Act says the expenditure should be incurred in order to carry on the business, in order to run the business, in the interest of the business. So expenditure should be directly related to the business. Without that expenditure, we cannot be able to run the business. Example, we cannot run the business without employees. We have to pay the salary. Without paying the rent, we cannot run the business. The rent is a must. It is in the interest of the business. So expenditure should be incurred to run the business. Thirdly, it should not be spent for any personal purpose. The expenditure incurred from the business should not give any personal benefit to the owner. That means expenditure should be directly related to the business. Business should get the advantage of that expenditure. Personal purpose, the expenditure should not be incurred. Next one is, it should not be prohibited under any law and it should not be against the public policy. Income Tax Act has given one rule. The expenditure incurred should not be prohibited by law, should not be against the public policy. Example, the law has said taking bribe is a crime. It is prohibited by law. Taking bribe is prohibited by law. Now, now a business said that in order to run the business, we have given the bribe to the officials. Income Tax Act says bribe given is not allowed because it is prohibited by law. It is against the public policy. So any amount paid which is prohibited by law, not allowed. Next one is, the expenditure is related to the relevant previous year, relevant to the current assessment year. Our current assessment year is 22-23. Previous year is 21-22. So the expenditure should be related only to the current previous year, not to any other years. Next one, the deduction can be given if it is related to the business for which the income is to be computed. Expenditure will be allowed as deduction only to that business whose income we are computing. Example, a person is having two businesses, cloth business and electronic business. So expenditure of cloth business will be deducted from cloth income only. The expenditure of cloth will not be allowed as deduction from electronic business, or expenditure of electronic business cannot be deducted from cloth business, like that. So whichever business we are having, to the same business deduction will be allowed. That's it. So these are the points to be remembered while giving the deductions. Now some of the specific provisions are made in the Act following deductions in computing business or profession. Income Tax Act has given specific rules regarding a number of items for which deductions can be claimed. So one by one we will study, because these are the items which will come in the problem. So you should be in a position to say whether it is allowed as deduction or not allowed as deduction. Now first one, rent of the building. A business will be run in a building. Suppose the building is a rented one. So rent is paid. So will the rent paid for the building allowed as deduction? Yes, of course. Rent paid is allowed as deduction. Rent deposit or advance deposit of rent is not allowed. These are the points you have to remember. These are the points which will come in the coming videos problems. The rent paid of the building will be allowed, but advance rent given or rent deposit given to the landlord, not allowed as deduction. Similarly, if the property is sublet, sometimes the owner of the property will give the right to the tenant to make subletting. Example, I am having a property, I have given on rent to you. You are my tenant. So your monthly rent is 50,000. So 50,000 every month you have to pay me. I am the landlord. But I have given you the right. You can sublet a part of the building. I have given the right to you. So you have let out a part of the building to another person for rupees 20,000. So you are getting rent from the subtenant 20,000, and you are paying rent to me 50,000. So Income Tax Act says rent paid will be net. That means out of 50,000 rent you are paying to me, how much rent you are getting? 20,000 you are getting. So deduct 20,000. 50,000 minus 20,000. 30,000 will be allowed as deduction. Next, repairs to the building. First we have seen rent. Repairs. Repairs made to the building will be allowed as deduction. Repairs to own building, it is allowed as deduction. Repairs to rented building. There are two types of building, own building and rented building. The repairs made to the own building will be allowed as deduction. But repairs on a rented building, it is allowed as deduction if there is an agreement between the business and the landlord. If the owner of the building says that you have to pay for repairs, so according to the agreement, the business has to incur expenditure on repair. In that case, it is allowed. The repairs will be allowed as deduction. Suppose if there is no agreement, if there is no agreement regarding the repairs, then in that case, repairs are not allowed as deduction. From income tax point of view, repairs are classified into three categories: current repairs, capital repairs, and capital expenditure. Now in the coming problems, you have to see which type of repairs are there. If current repairs are there, for own building, allowed as deduction. For rented building, it is allowed as deduction. So remember one point. If current repairs are given, so it is fully allowed as deduction, whether it is a own building or a rented building. For current repairs. For capital repairs, for own building, it is not allowed as deduction. If the word capital repairs are given, then if the own building is there, it is not allowed as deduction. But capital repairs will be added to the block of assets on which depreciation can be claimed. But directly capital repairs, not allowed as deduction. Now for rented building, it is allowed as deduction. Capital repairs will be allowed as deduction for rented building. Now capital expenditure. If capital expenditure is incurred on the own building, deduction is not allowed. But that capital expenditure will be added to the block of assets on which depreciation can be claimed. Rented building. If the building is rented one, it is not allowed as deduction, but it can claim depreciation. Now, rates and taxes for the building. Rates and taxes like municipal taxes, local taxes, etc. It will be allowed as deduction provided it should be paid. Only on payment basis it will be allowed. Just now I told you some exceptions. Any cess or fees payable under any law or any taxes payable to the government or local authority, it will be allowed as deduction only on payment basis. Next one, insurance of the building. It is allowed as deduction. Repairs to plant and machinery. Any repairs done to plant and machinery of the business, it will be allowed as deduction. That's it. So in this video, I have explained you the basics, the basic rules, principles to be followed while computing the income from business or profits and gains of business and profession. Inshallah, we'll continue our discussion on these principles in the next video. Then we'll start the problem. So if you're satisfied, give a like to the video, share my channel among your friends, among your groups, so that more students can watch the video and enhance the knowledge. Give your comments. Subscribe my channel if you have not yet subscribed. And buy the super thanks which is given below my video. Inshallah, we'll continue our discussion in the next video.